Why walking isn't enough. The dangerous truth about senior exercise, it begins with a routine. A quiet one, each morning. Just as the sun lifts the veil of dawn, 72-year-old Marjorie laces up her sneakers. She grabs her jacket, tugs the zipper up to her chin, and steps outside into the crisp morning air. The birds are chirping. The streets are still sleepy. She walks, just like she has for the last 15 years. 1 mile, sometimes 2. Her doctor praises her dedication. Her neighbors call her an inspiration. And yet, not long ago, Marjorie fell. Not a major fall, just a sudden slip on a sidewalk crack. But the result? A fractured wrist, weeks of recovery, and a realization that shook her to the core. I thought I was healthy, she said. I thought walking every day meant I was doing everything right. She wasn't alone. Millions of older adults, just like Marjorie, rely on walking as their primary, sometimes only, form of exercise. It's easy, it's accessible, it feels safe. But here's the dangerous truth. Walking isn't enough. Not for strength, not for balance, not for aging well. And by the time many realize it, the damage is already done. Let's pause here. If you or someone you love is over 60, this conversation isn't just helpful, it's critical. Because while walking offers undeniable benefits, depending on it alone could be silently undermining your health. This isn't to say stop walking. Far from it. But it's time to understand its limits and what your body truly needs to stay strong, independent, and thriving in your golden years. Let's dig into the full truth. The comfort trap of walking is a comfort zone activity. It doesn't require equipment. It doesn't need a gym. And it doesn't feel intimidating. And that's exactly why so many people fall into the trap of thinking it's a complete fitness plan. But aging bodies change in ways walking alone can't fully address. Think about it. Does walking challenge your leg muscles like squats do? Does it improve your posture like strength training can? Does it protect your bones from osteoporosis the way resistance exercise does? No, and that's not a flaw of walking. That's just the science of movement. Muscle loss after 60, the silent decline after age 30, we begin losing muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia, a condition that speeds up after age 60. On average, seniors lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass every decade. By the time you're in your 70s or 80s, this means significantly less strength, less stability, and slower recovery from injury. Here's the scary part. Walking does almost nothing to stop that. Yes, it keeps your heart pumping. Yes, it gets your joints moving. But it's not enough of a load to build or even maintain serious muscle. In fact, many seniors who walk daily are still classified as sedentary by modern fitness standards. Why? Because their muscles are slowly withering, just at a pace that doesn't feel obvious until it's too late. The myth of, at least I'm moving, let's be honest, moving is always better than not moving. But when the bar is that low, it can create a false sense of security. And it leads to statements like, at least I'm walking. It's better than nothing. I'm active enough for my age. But better than nothing doesn't mean good enough. You deserve more than not terrible. You deserve a body that keeps up with your grandkids. One that gets off the floor with confidence. One that climbs stairs without grabbing the railing. That kind of body doesn't come from walking alone. Meet George. The 78-year-old who couldn't get off the toilet. George was a retired electrician. Rugged hands, tough personality. He walked 2 miles every morning. Swore he'd never need a cane. But one morning, in the quiet of his home, George tried to get up from the toilet and couldn't. He strained. He rocked forward. He reached for the sink. Nothing. It took 20 minutes before he could leverage his body out of that position. What happened? Years of walking had kept his heart healthy, but his quadriceps and glutes had grown too weak to push him upward. He'd lost the functional strength needed for basic independence, and he didn't even realize it was happening until that moment. That humiliating, lonely, eye-opening moment. Walking doesn't strengthen what matters most. Here's the truth. Walking uses your legs, but it doesn't strengthen them in a meaningful way unless you're walking hills, carrying weights, or increasing resistance. Your core? Barely activated during a gentle stroll, yet essential for balance, posture, and preventing back pain. Your upper body? Unused, forgotten, neglected, which leads to rounded shoulders, fragile arms, and a weakened back. And your joints? While walking helps lubricate them, it doesn't build the muscle around them that keeps them stable and pain-free. In other words, walking is maintenance, not progress. And aging requires progress to maintain independence. The balance crisis: every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall. And the leading cause? Loss of balance and lower body weakness. Walking, while helpful, does little to improve proprioception, your body's sense of balance and positioning. That's where exercises like single leg stands, tai chi, core, training balance boards, or foam pads come in. These movements challenge the nervous system in ways walking simply doesn't. And if you're not doing them, you're rolling the dice every time you stand on a stool, step out of the shower, or walk on uneven ground. The heart's not the only muscle that matters, yes. Walking supports cardiovascular health. But what about your ability to carry groceries? Or pick up your dog? Or catch yourself if you trip? That takes muscular power, not just endurance. And without resistance training, lifting weights, using bands, or bodyweight exercises, you're losing that power every year. This is why the fittest seniors don't just walk. They train. They train to preserve their freedom, to stay out of the hospital, to live, not just exist. What the Science says. A landmark 2020 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that adults over 65 who included resistance training twice a week had 46% lower risk of death from all causes, 41% lower risk of cardiac-related death, 19% reduced risk of cancer. Another study showed that resistance training improved cognitive performance, reduced depression, and even reversed frailty in older adults. Yet less than 17% of seniors incorporate strength training into their weekly routine. Most are still walking, only walking, and wondering why they're getting weaker. A new path forward, stronger, not just active. So where do you begin? You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to lift anything heavier than your cat. What you need is intentionality. Add just 20 to 30 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week of functional strength work. Start with bodyweight squats, wall push-ups, chair stands, simple resistance bands. Focus on movements that mirror real life. Getting off the ground, reaching overhead, lifting from the floor, balancing on one foot, and combine that with walking. And now you have a complete program. Marjorie's come back after her fall. Marjorie changed her routine. She didn't stop walking, but she added strength sessions twice a week with a trainer at her community center. Now, she doesn't just walk her neighborhood. She leads a senior hiking group. She lifts her great-grandson with ease. And when she looks in the mirror, she sees strength, not just survival. You can start today. Here's your challenge. This week, do one thing more than walking. Just one. Try 10 squats every morning, standing on one foot while brushing your teeth, a gentle yoga session on YouTube, carrying 2 soup cans around the house like dumbbells, whatever it is. Start. Because your future isn't built by accident. It's built by action. Closing message. You deserve to age with power. You've worked hard your whole life. You've earned these years. But no one told you that aging, well, takes more than movement. It takes purposeful strength. Walking is wonderful, but it's not enough. Don't settle for decline. Don't wait for the fall, the fracture, the loss of freedom. Take your body back, one step and one squat at a time. Because the strongest version of you is still within reach, and it's waiting to be built, one rep at a time.